This is Jonathan Rushi, Journal 4? Yeah, Journal 4 for Acting for the Camera. This is our one on a personal item. And so for my personal item, it's super cliche, but I chose one of the books that is up there with Mere Christianity and 1984 as far as it changing my life. And that is Tough Shit Life Advice from a Fat Lazy Slob Who Did Good by Kevin Smith. So some of you know that Kevin Smith is probably my favorite director of all time. And it's not just because he makes movies about people who read comics. He, I think, really speaks to a kind of innate, like, lack of motivation for a lot of young males that grow up in today's society. He literally titled his book Life Advice from a Fat Lazy Slob. So, hi, right here, speaking for my book. It really did kind of change my life. It sounds super cliche, and I'm acknowledging that it's like the lamest thing that someone can say is like, this book changed my life. But in all honesty, like, the way that he writes this book, the way that he describes his life, it's so connecting. He talks about how when he was growing up and he decided he wanted to be a director, that he would always tell his sister, like, hey, I want to be a director. And one day she told him, stop saying you're going to be, just act like you are. And that is really good advice, I think. It's something I've kind of taken to heart since I read this. You just stop acting like you're going to be something and just approach everything as if you already are. It is just so well written, I think, that not surprising considering the source. Was who I think is one of the best film writers of the last, I would say at least the last 20 years, certainly. But it gets into a lot of things that I think I can connect with, as far as being very scared, like, with what you do, being scared that something that you created is going to fail and everyone's going to laugh at you, but still going through with it. I don't know, there's a lot of reasons that he is one of my role models, and I don't think that having someone who is so open about his flaws as an inspiration is a bad thing. I mean, he literally puts on his, oh, it's mirrored, I didn't think about that. Well, there's a quote there that if you're good at reading backwards, you can read, and it says, I certainly would never read anything written by Kevin Smith, credited to Tim Burton, on the back of his book. And that's not a joke. That's how confident he is, and how open he is about his flaws. But I really think that this book changed my life in a very good way. And that's why it's my personal object that I chose. So, goodbye.